Hey guys, Bill here with World Made Simple, and today is going to be an update video on what's going on in Kursk with the Ukrainian invasion of Russia. So I'm going to probably be doing videos updating on the situation every Friday, and I'm going to make Friday kind of the news day. And if something else bigger than the Ukraine offensive right now pops up, like if something pops off in the Middle East or in Taiwan, I'll probably do a video on that instead. But for right now, just expect to see this on a regular kind of Friday basis. So let's talk about what's going on in Ukraine, starting with the Russians. So last week I said that the Russians had started moving forces down, but they didn't really have any defenses, didn't really have anything in that area. Since then, there have been actually job postings by the Russian government to hire people to start digging trenches, and they have started creating defensive lines around the Kursk region in multiple locations, specifically the city of Kursk itself and the nuclear power plant were the first. It looks like there's also a couple of lines being built in the eastern portions of the oblast, being kind of the Russian equivalent of the state of Kursk. Additionally, in terms of troops, on Friday it was confirmed that Wagner, the PMC group, the private military group, was being moved from being moved from Africa to the front lines in Russia to go ahead and stop the Ukrainian advance. Over the weekend, and I believe on Monday as well, we were informed that troops from the Kaliningrad region, the little tiny bit of Russian territory next to the Baltic states, they were getting moved to the Ukrainian front. And now, as of today and yesterday, we have confirmation that there are troops now fully being redeployed from the front lines inside of Ukraine, like in the Donbass and Zaporizhzhia, in Kherson, all of those regions to the Kursk front. So Russia started moving troops over. So we talked about on Wednesday how if this is a tactical base victory, Ukraine wants to move those troops off. It looks like we're starting to see the beginning of that at the very least. If it's going to be enough for Ukraine to stop the slow and steady Russian advance, we'll see. But right now, that's kind of where the Russian troops are coming from. Now let's go on the Ukrainian side. Ukraine has been able to push forward significantly. When I last made this video, I said that it had been between 100 and 300 square kilometers confirmed Ukrainian control. Today, that number is around 1,100 square kilometers is the number that I heard as of today. Yesterday, it was 1,000 square kilometers, so it looks like there has been some movement. I can't confirm the full degree of that movement. Additionally, the eastern push of the Ukrainian offensive appears to have stalled. They're not able to get past the city of Sutska. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. And now they're kind of in a little bit of stall. So the eastern front looks like it's stalled. The northern front of the offensive is starting to kind of slow to a crawl. I know the Ukrainians have taken some significant damage to their vehicle-based forces, and I also know that the Russians have been targeting some of their artillery. A HIMARS was destroyed either this morning or yesterday, which is a significant deal because I know that those don't grow on trees. We've sent a bunch over in terms of the United States, but there's a limited number of HIMARS systems available. The one area where the Ukrainians are still having significant success is in the west. The civilians in the Kursk Oblast have been evacuated from the majority of the areas that are currently in combat. The only area still under mass evacuations is the area directly near the Ukrainian border east of that region. That's slowing down Russian troop deployments and making things difficult for the Russians logistically. So the Ukrainians have been able to push there. They've also, as of today, taken another group of Russians prisoner, a full company size, so around 100 people, raising the total, based on what I know, to around 2,100 Russian prisoners of war. This is still anyone's game. We're not really sure what's going on in terms of the full push. Or Ukraine has come out and said that their goal is to create a buffer zone between the Ukrainian border and Russia. I don't know if I believe this, primarily because there is a million different ways that you could have attempted a buffer zone, and this feels kind of a little weird based on the amount of forces. I think they kind of did this and then realized, oh, wow, this is working really well. We should capitalize on this. And I think this is kind of a result of that. I think now it's a buffer zone push, but I don't think it originally started as that. Regardless, it looks like the Ukrainians are still trying to push their advantage as far as they can and consolidate their lines. They're starting to dig in around the city of Sutska. that I mentioned before, and started to dig trenches, establish defensive points, and it looks like they're going to be there to stay, at least for the immediate future. The Russians will start moving forces en masse into the region, and this will open up a second front. Now, whether Ukraine is going to be able to hold this territory, no one really knows. They might just go ahead and make the Russians try and fight for every bit of the land. But the longer the Ukrainians are in this territory, the more of an issue it becomes for Russia. Because this is a national embarrassment for Putin, and the longer the Ukrainians are in Russia, the longer that this will be an issue. So we'll see what Putin does. We'll see what Zelensky does. And right now, this is still anyone's game. But it looks like at the very least, the offensive is starting to slow down, if not stop, on several fronts. We'll see if the Eastern Front follows with what the the Western Front follows with what both the North and the East have done. So with that being said, I'll see you guys on Monday when I'm going to be doing a video on the Mantis system. Because I did promise my Battleship guys that we were going to be doing a follow-up video on some of the new drones coming about. So we'll talk about that on Monday. So with that being said, enjoy the weekend.